There we go. Okay. So good morning and welcome all to the March 12 meeting of the Coalition of Little Rock Neighborhoods. I'm Kathy Wells. I'm your president. We are today hearing about election laws from our county clerk, Terri Hollingsworth. Before that, we're introducing candidates on the May ballot in contested races. They each have 1 minute to introduce themselves and to put their contact websites and phone numbers into the chat, both of which we will collect and we will then post through our Facebook page at clrn.ar. Bear with me, I am not skilled at this. Denise Leeson, say hello, Denise.
Hi.
Is my assistant, and bear with us if we are overlooking someone who should be recognized. Let's see. Let's start with, I'm just going to go in the order that it appears on my screen, if I may. It's not necessarily the way that everyone came into the group, but it's a way to track folks. The candidate, Robert Steinbuck, your minute is starting.
Sure, happy to do it. As you said, my name is Robert Steinbuck. I'm running for House, State House, District 73, which is from Riverdale out to Pinnacle, bounded largely by Cantrell Highway 10, but also including Pleasant Valley. I'm in a contested primary, and should I win that primary, I will be in a contested general. My contact information is my website. I put it in the chat. It's Steinbuck for Arkansas. My last name Steinbuck has the German spelling, so let me just give it to you. Steinbuch for FOR Arkansas.com. And I put my phone number in there too, 501-288-9804. Feel free to get in touch.
Who's your opponent? Who's your primary opponent?
The primary opponent is John Wycliffe. And should I win that Republican primary, then it would be Andrew Collins, the Democrat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Grogan. Let's
Good morning. My name is Calvin Grogan, and I am a candidate for Pulaski County Sheriff, running on the Republican primary. My contact information is Calvin Grogan, that's GROGAN @.com, or you can reach me at Grogan4Sheriff, GROGAN numerical 4 sheriff @gmail.com. And my phone number is 501-246-1934. I am running in a contested primary. The other gentleman running is Paul Keller.
Thank you. Let's hear from Summer next.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. My name is Summer Campbell, and I am running for Justice of the Peace in District 2. I'm a hairstylist, so I am a small business owner, and I think it's important to have my perspective on the quorum court, and I'm excited to talk to you all on April the 9th, and I hope everybody has a good weekend. My contact info is in the chat. You can find me at 501-804-0203, or my email is info@votesummer.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I'd like to know which are Democrat or Republican primary, and who's the opponent?
I'm in the Democrat primary, and my other Democrat is Natalie Capps.
So is there a there's a vacancy?
Yes.
Okay, who's the previous office holder?
Tyler Denton.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's hear from Natalie Capps, please.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me a chance to visit with you guys. I am Natalie Capps. I'm running for Justice of the Peace District 2. It runs north of Cantrell, kind of down by the river, all the way out to Pinnacle with a couple little drop downs south of Highway 10 or Cantrell. I'm a nurse, I'm a mom, and I've been an assistant professor at UAMS for nearly 20 years. And I'm excited about the chance to meet you guys and learn about what all is going on in our district and what we can do to improve our community. You can reach me with my contact information that's in the chat. And I do just want to say I've been super involved with my neighborhood association, and I really know and understand the impact that a group of neighbors can have. So thank you all for that.
The
Looking forward to
Democratic or
meeting you all.
Republican primary?
Democratic. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Morchetti, is that correct pronunciation?
Yes, you said that beautifully. My name is Anna Morchetti. Thank you so much for having me. I am running for Pulaski County Justice of the Peace in District 7. District 7 is made up of, it's mostly west of 430, Woodlands Edge and Brody Creek area, down to Otter Creek, around the outlet malls, Alexander and Mablevale. And it is an open seat. Teresa Coney formerly held this seat and she is running for the state house. And I am going to be in the Democratic primary. That I do have an opponent, and I am running because I want to make sure that everyone in my district has a partner in county government and someone who really can listen and amplify their voices. I'm the vice chair of the Sustainability Commission, and I am the chair of the Coalition for Neighborhood Libraries. I'm a Sunday school teacher and a mom, and I just am so excited to be able to lift up the voices in my community. Thank you. And I'll put my information in the chat.
Please do. Okay. Alicia Walton, please.
Hello, I am Alicia Walton, and I am running for prosecuting attorney here in Pulaski County. I will put my contact information in the chat, and I am running to address the issues that are currently plaguing our communities and making them less safe. This is a nonpartisan election, so we will be on the May 24th ballot for the general nonpartisan election.
And you're running for the open seat because Larry Jagley is not running again as the incumbent.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have a question, if I
Yes,
may.
sir.
Yes, Jim.
Can you briefly summarize your experience with the law? Meaning, is it private practice? Is it, what has been your experience to date as a lawyer?
Yes, sir. I have worked in private practice, and currently I serve as a defense attorney working with the state, and I've been in this position for over 10 years. I am certified to handle from the lowest misdemeanor to the highest felony. I serve on several different committees within the legal community. I serve on the committee for bail reform. I also, I'm a veteran. And so I am the veteran that.
Walton, I'm sorry, your time is up.
All right.
I'm sorry.
April the 9th, and we'll go into it in depth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hear from Grant Smith, please.
Hey y'all, how are y'all doing today? My name is Grant Smith, and I'm running in the Democratic primary for Arkansas State House District 77 here in Pulaski County against our incumbent, Fred Allen. My background is I worked in fast food and retail, so I know how hard it is to make it from paycheck to paycheck. So I want to make it easier for other people that they're the same way and give them a voice in the legislative process. You can check me out at grantforarkansas.com, and I will be on your May 24th ballot. I look forward to hearing from y'all.
Thank you so much.
Again, can you give us 20 seconds of your professional experience? What have you been doing?
Grant, you have a question?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can you tell us anything about your professional experience? What is your occupation or anything?
At the moment I work in fast food, but I'm a concerned voter, and I believe that the people of District 77's voices deserve to be heard. We deserve a representative that will actually reach out to the voters and hear their concerns, and I want to be that voice in our process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, your time is up.
Okay. Let's hear from Carol Boyd Connors, please.
Good morning, Kathy Cara Connors here.
Good morning.
Thank you, Neighborhood Coalition. My name is Attorney Cara Connors. I'm a mother of two, a wife of 10 years, a small business owner where I run my practice in several areas of law, primarily criminal defense and domestic. I'm running for 12th Division Pulaski County Court, which is held currently by the Honorable Alice Gray, who is retiring. I'm running to be the change that I want to see. And so I'm hoping I can earn your support in May. And that's all.
Y'all come back on April the 9th. Make sure all your contact information is in the chat. And I believe we have heard from all the candidates. Denise, does that match with your tally?
Yes, it does.
Okay, have we missed anybody?
Oops.
I'm not sure what that sound means. I don't think I've failed to admit anyone.
It's my timer, sorry.
Oh, okay, well, all right, moving right along. I'm going to say thank you. All you candidates are most welcome to stay and listen to election law changes from Terri Hollingsworth. We understand if you have other obligations. Remember, this will be posted online on YouTube sometime tomorrow. Go back to our Facebook page for the link to that at clrn.ar. Now, Terri Hollingsworth, our Pulaski County and Circuit Clerk, welcome and tell us about election law changes, please.
Well, good morning, everybody. And I'm a candidate, but I'm unopposed, so I'd appreciate your vote on the unopposed section. So during this legislative session, we had 25 new election laws that were passed, and they affected either the Pulaski County Election Commission, my office, poll workers, or definitely you, the voter. So there are about 4 laws that I wanted to talk to you guys about regarding the impact to the voter. And then after that, I wanted to make sure that we touch base and talk about provisional ballots. We've been seeing a lot of folks using the provisional ballot and thinking that their vote would be counted. And a lot of times their vote is not counted. So we want to talk about that. And then just a brief talk about redistricting and what we've done in our office as it relates to redistricting and some dates to remember. So I'm going to share my screen. I should have asked you that. Do you know how to do that, Kathy? Can you help me? Can you let me share my screen?
Denise, do you know how to do that?
You have to make her a co-administrator.
I have to make her a well, that's, that did not take me where I wanted to go. Let's see.
Well, if we can't do it, I'll just talk.
Well, it says something about managed participants.
Maybe there.
Let's put that little thing up. That just changed the view. Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing I can do.
Okay, Kathy.
The speaker full screen.
Kathy, try moving your cursor over Terry's cube on the screen, and the blue box that appears with the 3 blue dots.
I make her a co-host, right?
Pardon?
I can make her a co-host.
That's it. That's what you need to do. And then she'll be able to share her screen.
Okay, Terry, I just made you a co-host.
Perfect.
Let's see if that, and you're also full screen. Let's see if that carries us where we want to go.
All right.
Yay.
Okay, we have it. We have a,
good job, Kathy. You're doing great. So
I'm lucky. Let's press on.
Okay, all right. So Act 249, of course, requires the voter to present their photo ID when they enter definitely the polling location. But if you're going to vote by absentee voting, there was a form that would that you could sign that said that it was an optional identity affirmation page, and you could sign that. And just in case you forgot to put a copy of your ID in that absentee ballot packet, then you would be able to get your vote counted. But the law has changed to that effect. And they removed that requirement of the optional affirmation, and that you have to have a copy of your photo ID in the packet for your vote to be counted. So let me just tell you how this impacted the voter. In 2020, we had maybe about 1,600 absentee ballots without a copy of that voter ID. And this affirmation really helped in that particular case. So that is definitely a problem. So if you know folks who are going to vote by absentee, because we're still in this pandemic, obviously we're still doing Zoom meetings, then please make sure that they can get a copy of their photo ID and put it in that particular packet, because definitely need it. We want them to make sure that their vote is counted. And the eligible photo ID, of course, there's your driver's license. You can use your Arkansas State photo ID if you don't have an actual driver's license. You can use your concealed, slow down, Terry. You can use your concealed handgun carry permit, of course, your passport. And if you know someone that's homeless, that's eligible to vote, or wants to be eligible to vote, or just somebody who does not have an ID because maybe their license expired, they can come and get a voter verification card in the clerk's office. Is free of charge. If they come and get that in the clerk's office, they definitely need to bring something that we can know that it's them. So just in case, I did say homeless, but they may not have an actual utility bill, but we normally accept a utility bill, and we accept, of course, their birth certificate or something like that, so that we know that it is who that they say that they are. Act 728, of course, as you know, this has always been where you can't actually do campaigning within that 100-foot area of the voting site. But now, persons who are entering or leaving cannot be in that area. So you can't stand there talking and hugging somebody. You can't give people water or snacks while they're in that 100-foot line waiting for to get in there, waiting to vote. If you do that, then you could be presumed that you're trying to defraud the election. So you want to make sure that you're careful in those particular areas. I know neighborhood groups and other organizations certainly want to be helpful to the voter, especially like on May 24th, when it might be hot as heck, and we want to make sure that those voters have something to drink. But we need to make sure people are armed with that information, or armed with the water and or snacks before they even get in that 100-foot line. So Act 736, there are 3 provisions with this particular law that impacts the voters. The first provision requires that your signature on the absentee ballot be verified by the clerk's office from your voter registration application. So I'll go back over that in just a second. The other requires that the voter provide both the mailing address and their residential voting addresses on their actual application on the absentee ballot. And the third one makes the possession of more than 4 absentee ballots a rebuttable presumption of intent of voter defraud. So I'll go back over those individually. So in terms of requiring the signature on the absentee ballot to be verified by the application, this to me is a big problem, because I know that my birthday is in a couple of weeks. I'll be 58. I know that my signature has changed since I was 18 years old. So if I'm going to vote by absentee ballot, they have to go back to my original voter registration application. So we know people who may have some kind of disability, and that prevents them, their signature might change. And so we just want, if you know people who are going to vote by absentee, please ask them to update their voter registration application so that we can have an updated signature. We had a case where a lady was 100 years old, And we had to find her daughter to help her, so that we could make sure that we had her updated signature to make sure that we could, submit her packet and everything. So those things can be problems with folks. Being 100, that was before we really had computers. And so who knows what happened to that particular application, but we want to make sure that people can vote freely and fairly. On the other, where it says requires both the mailing address and the residential voting address on the actual application, which I'm sure you cannot see here, but there's a spot on here that asks for your mailing address and a spot on here that asks for your voter residential address. Some people don't put the information there of where that particular ballot needs to be mailed. So for instance, let's say it's a college student. Their voting address might be 401 West Markham, but we need to mail it to Fayetteville, or we might need to mail it to Conway. So you want to make sure that you have that information there so that we can get it to the proper place. And then on the other provision where you cannot have more than 4 absentee ballots within your possession, or they think you're trying to defraud the election. I mean, let's say you're trying to help some neighbors and they might have had COVID and they want to vote by absentee. Well, you got to make either 2 trips if there's more than 4 people that you're trying to help, or you could, but you don't want to be in a position where folks think that you are trying to defraud the election. So remember that it used to be 10.
Terry,
Yes.
is that if I go down on Monday with 4 absentee ballots, that's okay? What if I go down the next Monday with 4 more? Can I do that?
You can go down, yes, you can come back with more. Nothing, the law doesn't speak to you bringing more than, 4, more than 4 in different batches.
So
yes, you can do that.
Different trips.
You can make different trips, yes, sir.
All right,
Now,
thank you.
since you said the Monday, just make sure, I'm going to talk about that too. Make sure you bring it back the Friday before the election, because if
Okay.
you're going to actually bring those applications back in person, they have to be back the Friday before the election. Otherwise, they just need to be mailed. And you got to make sure you do that early, because we know how the mail runs.
Terry, who's going to be policing this?
To my knowledge, no one.
Oh,
But that you've seen where people get in other people's business.
mm,
So you never know who might just be watching what you're doing, and just or poll watchers may be somewhere, because we've had some in our office before that could be trying to monitor that.
okay, thanks.
Okay, but I tell you what, my office won't be. We don't have the staff power to do that.
And we don't, our state hasn't passed a Florida-like law with a police agency that's dedicated to that.
Well, I believe that the legislature gave the State Board of Election Commissioners a little more teeth in terms of being able to levy fines and those kinds of things for people who are doing something that's defrauding the election, or that kind of thing. But to my knowledge, they don't have any folks who are going to be out in every county, like a police force to actually monitor that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so on the absentee ballot application, please make sure these highlighted areas, you need to make sure you select the reason. In Arkansas, we've always had to have a reason why you're going to vote absentee. Most people use the reason that they will be unavoidably absent on election day. That's the number 1 box right there. Number 2 is please select the following options concerning your residence. So the first one says, I currently reside within the county in which I'm registered to vote. Or you can put, I currently reside outside of the county in which I'm registered to vote. So just like box number 2 is a case like my mother right now. If she didn't come back in person, my mother's in DC visiting my brother. She's been there for a little while, but her voting residence is still here. So if she didn't come back to actually vote, then we could say that she currently resides outside of the county in which she's registered to vote. So that's just an example of that. Please select the election in which you wish to cast an absentee ballot. So then you would pick either the preferential primary, which is May 24th, or the November general election. So you just want to make sure that you pick the right one. And then on number 4, this is where we want to make sure where your ballot is going. So that's where we're mailing it to. If that is the same as your voter residence, then make sure you just put it twice. We want to make sure that information is there, because in the next line, it says residential address of the voter. And that's where we want to make sure that's where the voter is registered, so we can make sure you get the right ballot. The other problem that we usually have, it says date of birth of the absentee voter. And some voters usually put today's date. So if you know somebody who's going to vote by absentee ballot, please ask them, please make sure they understand and maybe they read that particular line and they put their actual date of birth. And then of course we need them to sign it. So absentee ballot request. We usually have a list of maybe about 1,200 residents who don't really get out, who may be, I say sick and shut in. And they were on a list that we just had a recurring list of folks, and they would actually just get the absentee ballot application from us. We cannot, the clerk's office cannot send out absentee ballot applications to anyone just randomly. We cannot keep this list anymore. If you know of somebody who wants to vote by absentee ballot, please ask them to contact the clerk's office. They have to contact us in order for us to send it out. We cannot have the list like we had before. And so, like I said, that was about 1,200 folks who would do that, who didn't get out, who didn't drive. And so that to me can disenfranchise those voters who definitely want to vote.
Question, Terry?
Yes.
Can I just call up your office and say, send me one?
Yes. They can call us, they can email us, yes, ma'am, and then we will send it. But we have to have a request from the voter.
And that phone number is?
The phone number is 340-8336, of course, 501, 340-8336. Okay, Act 973. So this new law, as I was telling you before, Mr. Lynch, this new law shortens the time a voter must turn in their absentee ballot. So we have to have it the end of business on the Friday before Election Day, if you're going to return it in person. The Friday before Election Day, before 5 o'clock. You can still mail in the ballots. You can still, authorized agents can still return it by hand on Election Day. But if you, the voter, want to turn in your absentee ballot in person, it must be on the Friday. It used to be the Monday before election, and now they've changed it to the Friday of election. So let me tell you how this impacted folks in 2020. We did have a couple who had COVID. On the Thursday before the election, they discovered that they had it. And then they had to quarantine, of course. So then they called our office to get an absentee ballot. And then when they realized that they had to get all that information into us by the next day, they were not able to vote and they were upset. So this is how these things can impact the voter. And we just want to make sure that we are telling everybody that you get the word out. You tell your neighbors, if they're going to vote by absentee ballot and they want to bring it back in person, they need to do it the Friday before Election Day. So let's talk about understanding provisional ballots. So of course, provisional ballot is a fail-safe way for us to be able to vote on Election Day. And of course, the Help America Act required the states offer this to voters whose names were not on the voter list. But we've had some folks who actually show up at the polls. They're thinking they're on the voter list and they're not on the voter list. And so then they get this fail-safe ballot, which means they get a paper ballot. They have to sign it, of course, an affidavit when they're in the polling site. And then they are supposed to bring back their ID, because most of them get it because they don't have their ID. They're supposed to bring back their ID the Monday after by the Monday after the election. So you can bring it Of course, the election's on that Tuesday. You can bring it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but it has to be there by that Monday, either to the clerk's office or to the Pulaski County Election Commission, so that we can look up the voter information and determine if that person is actually on the voter list. If they are on the voter list, then of course that ballot is going to get counted. If they are not on the voter list, they will not get counted. So we want to make sure that people are understand that how their votes are being counted. So we have a common list of reasons why people show up and are not, and then they get the provisional ballot. Their name is not on the poll voting. Ooh, slow down, Terry. Their name is not on the registration list. Their eligibility, of course, is in question. And then they don't have an identification. And then maybe somebody, of course, might have requested an absentee ballot. And then they just decided, oh, I'm just going to go to the polls. And so those are some of the reasons why people have been voting by this provisional ballot. Any questions? All right. So once the voter, like I said, submits their proof of identity to the clerk or our county board of election commissioners, then the voter we can cast the correct ballot and then for that particular precinct. So redistricting, as you know, we've all went through redistricting, and as it relates to the county level, the county board of election commissioners, of course, changed a little bit for the JP districts. Of course, you just saw some JP candidates who are running for different offices. Well, once they did that particular information, then it came to our office as we are making sure that the street files follow the lines that they have drawn for the county. We have finished that particular process, and we've tried to check it at least 4 times, but we are human. I want you to understand that we might still have some mistakes. So I want, please check your voter information. Make sure you ask other folks to check their voter information at voterview.org, voterview.org, and be looking for your new voter information card that should be coming in the mail in about 30 to 40 days. So right now we're working with the printers, trying to make sure that that gets taken care of. We have over 200,000 registered voters in Pulaski County. So be looking for your voter card sometime soon. And here are some dates, of course, to remember. And Kathy, if you need me to send this to your office, I can send this information to your email so that you can disseminate it amongst your members. But of course, April 25th is the last day to register to vote to be able to participate in the May 24th election. So if you know of some young people who need to register to vote, if they'll be 18 by election day, please have them vote, get registered to vote now, even if their birthday is say May 20th. Once May 20th hits, if they're in the roll, say they're 17, then we will spit out, of course, that voter registration card, and they'll be able to vote on May 25th. Of course, for the general election, October 11th is the last day to be able to register to vote to actually participate in the November 8th general election. So it's always about 30 days before the actual election that you have to be registered. Other than that, you can register anytime. Any questions?
Yeah. Does the card you're sending out, would that qualify as an ID card for voting for other folks?
That would not qualify as an ID card because it needs a picture on it.
Oh, okay.
And so you have to you can take your voter ID card there so that can help them or help the person at the poll, look up your information, but you definitely still need your voter ID, which is of course a driver's license or something with a picture on it. Okay.
Okay.
Any others? All right, well, Kathy, of course, you guys can stay connected to the clerk's office through the www.pulaskiclerk.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. But we always make sure that we try to send out information for the voter so that they know where to vote, how to vote, and those kinds of things. And if you have any other questions, you can certainly call our office, or you can call the voter office at 340-8336, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. And that's it for me.
And Terry, that www.pulaskiclerk.com,
Yes.
where we can go to see all these candidate filings, can we not?
You can see all the candidate filings that are that happen within the county, like the state rep and those who are running for governor. They're on the Secretary of State's website. So, and we have not put a link to the Secretary of State's website on ours. So that's something, thank you. That's something we should do.
By golly, yeah, let me go round them up if not all in one place and in one linking circuit there.
Right. Yeah, because to my knowledge, they're not, all that information is not all in one place, but we'll do our best to make sure we get it for you. I'll put a link on there.
Very helpful. Right
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
it is at least a two-step process, because
Yes,
I've been
ma'am.
posting this down. And let me call attention to the fact that the PulaskiClerk.com web address is a little bit at variance with what we're familiar seeing with the other county government website addresses. So
Yes.
be prepared for, on the left hand this and on the right hand that type of web address.
Yes, you are correct.
Any other
Thank you all for letting me share with you this morning. Please remember, you're going to do absentee voting. There's some new rules. Make sure you talk to your neighbors. If you have any questions, call us. Talk to you soon.
Terry, is this
Yeah.
lovely presentation now posted on that PulaskiClerk.com website somewhere so that absent friends could go and download this and share with their own networks directly?
Kathy, I would say that it should be. I can't
suppose you do that.
To double check it. I hadn't paid attention myself, so my apologies. But from now, it will be.
What we have advocates for. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any other questions here? Okay, then I will say that, thank you, Terry. We understand if you have obligations elsewhere. Let me ask if we have any other business to bring before the group today.
Kathy, let me, I had a conversation with you probably about a month ago, and I needed to go do some more research and make sure that that what I was telling you was, up to date. And so now I'd like to report this. It's really not very good news from my own viewpoint, but in 1977, the city board, the Little Rock City Board, adopted an ordinance that mandated campaign contributions. You couldn't campaign for a city office, mayor, or on the board, city judge, that kind of thing, before June 1st, meaning you could not accept money before June 1st. There's now been a couple of federal rulings. Obviously, I won't get into it. I'm not happy about it. By the way, the city board adopted that because in 1996, we found incumbents on the city board taking $1,500 donation checks 15, 20 months before the election. You'd say, what's going on here? Well, guess what? It was only 2 weeks before a big zoning vote. So it was like, here, Mr. Incumbent City Board member, here's your quote campaign donation, wink, wink. It wasn't a campaign donation. It was an inducement to vote for the big zoning proposal next Tuesday. So the idea was to cut off all those, extraordinary early campaign donations, and you could not donate to anybody for Little Rock municipal office before June 1st. Well, there's now been some federal court rulings. We've got some conservative judges. They say that can't stand. Money is speech now. You're impinging on people's free speech, quote unquote, and so forth. So some similar ordinances in other cities, principally Austin, Texas, have been invalidated. Tom Carpenter, our city attorney, 10 months ago, was aware of these legal developments and sent to the city board a legal memorandum from him as their attorney, saying that even though our Little Rock ordinance has not been challenged, that in his judgment, if it were challenged in court, it could not be sustained. And so all the city board members have gotten that. They got it back in April of 2021. I was more than a little put off with Tom. I said, you know, nobody made that legal memorandum public. I mean, why am I just now finding out about it? The reason I found out about it was I called him because here at home in first class mail, I got a solicitation from Steve Landers, who's running for mayor. And, you know, it's a standard, hello voter, I'm Steve Landers, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Enclosed is a card you can return to my campaign. Yes, I'll put up a yard sign. Yes, I'll work a poll. Yes. And enclosed is my donation. Well, this was late January. And I said, January? You know, he can't raise money until June 1st. So that's when I got on the phone and called Tom Carpenter and said, what's going on here? And then he tells me, oh, well, Jim, I wrote a memorandum 10 months ago that said our local ordinance was not sustainable if it ever got an attack. Well, Landers is raising money, and I'm sure that the others are going to also. This is not a good development. I don't really have any notion about how to combat all of this. If someone were to challenge it, I think Tom actually is a good lawyer. He can read court decisions and all that. Perhaps it cannot be sustained, but you know, that ordinance was law in the city of Little Rock for 23 years. Everybody obeyed it. Nobody complained. What happened was that someone, Austin, Texas is in the 9th Circuit. Arkansas and Little Rock is in the 8th Circuit. Actually, a libertarian person, meaning the Libertarian Party, just had to donate to somebody right now. She wanted to write her check before sundown. And she said that because the state of Arkansas back in 96, 97 also adopted a statute that said you cannot donate prior to 2 years before the election. Well, she wanted to donate right then. This is back in 2020. The 8th Circuit agreed with her, said, you know, you're free, your freedom of speech is being eliminated because now we've ruled in a previous discussion that money is speech. So that part of the Arkansas statutes has now been repealed. Our ordinance is still on the record. But if someone in Arkansas or Little Rock were to challenge it, in Carpenter's opinion, it could not be sustained. I'm very unhappy about all of this. Actually, myself and others, I think, Kathy, including you, were some of the people that got up in front of the city board and urged its adoption in January of 1997 because of the abuses that we had learned about in the previous 96 election. So pay to play is still is back in mode in Little Rock. I don't know what we could do. Actually, I don't know if Virgil is still on the Zoom meeting or not. But I think maybe the coalition ought to ask any candidate for city board to take a pledge not to adhere to the June 1st deadline, irrespective of what they're doing in Austin, Texas, or what somebody in the Libertarian Party thinks. But we can't settle that this morning, and I don't mean to press the issue, but this is, as they say, more news that is not in the right direction in my judgment.
Appreciate the sentiments, Jim. Refresh my memory, or Virgil may know this currently. What's the reporting rule and deadlines for a candidate for city director? We know that there is a place you find out about campaign contributions. I think one easy thing is that the coalition pledges to watch that closely, to report it promptly, and to circulate it far and wide, that we let everybody know who is giving to what candidate. That should.
That's Terry's office. She posts those, right?
Terry, do you carry city director campaign records?
Yes.
Campaign, yes.
Okay.
And the city, of course, the city of Little Rock also, they do that at their own office as well. But yes, we do.
And you post it online, right?
Yes, you can look it up of the candidate for the city board elections. Yes.
Do you know what the time frame is offhand, or is there some policy that you might send me that says they report it, the 15th of the month for the previous 15 days kind of policy?
I think I can, go ahead, Terry, but I think you have to report any month you raise more than a few $100s, you've got to report.
I know that the next reporting period is about a month. It's 10 days before the election.
But if Steve Landers is raising money today, which he is, and he raises $5,000 in the month of March, he's got to send you a report, right? At the end of March.
I don't know the actual policy on the city council members.
Rule.
But
it's a state rule.
Yeah.
It's a state
but
ethics.
Yes, when you raise
law.
a particular amount of money, you are supposed to report.
Yeah, that's state ethics law. Everybody's subject to that, local, county, and state.
Well, we pledge to research it and to track it and to post it. We certainly can do that. Virtual, does that mean that you know any of this or that you do not yet?
At this point, I have not decided to raise any money. I do know, though, when the mayor ran for election, and I know one city council person, when they started running, they started raising money. They said that law would probably be invalidated. That's what Jim has said. And so people started raising money. And so I think some people will have some funds raised as early as this first quarter. I'm not sure of the reporting. I know it falls in line with what state ethics laws require. But I think some people have started raising money already, certainly more so than Steve Landers. I think some incumbents, all of the city ward positions are up for election in November. And so I believe some of my colleagues have started raising funds. I have not seen reporting on that. I don't think it's come up yet.
Well, let me say, Director Miller, I'm not trying to give you advice. I'm just saying what my opinion would be as a voter, but I think it's an issue. This was a law for 23 years in the city of Little Rock. It was a good law. And, without going into all the legal details, I don't agree that money is speech, but the Supreme Court apparently, money is speech, okay? So if you got a big bank account, you get to have more speech than me or you. But nonetheless, I would vote for somebody for city board or mayor if they announced that they were going to voluntarily not raise money until June 1st and stick to the old law. It's a voluntary restraint. You sort of opt in, you don't have to, but I think it's a good way for a candidate to distinguish themselves from their opponents. My opponent has been raising money for 12 months. I'm sticking to the old law that was a good law in this town for 23 years because it's good government. It prevents pay to play. And that's what I'm going to do. If opponents for Ward 1 or Ward 2 or whatever want to go ahead and raise money, fine. We can ask them to explain themselves why they couldn't wait till June 1st. I think it's an issue.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm not going to argue with that, Jim. I'm of the opinion that I don't want to raise money early. I'm going to stick to what the old law said, but I know
Great.
that, but that's just,
You need to
but that's
tell
just me.
people about it.
That's just me. but I don't want to stop anybody else from doing what they want to do. And I know incumbents are raising money. People that are running for mayor are raising money. So we'll see when the reporting comes out, just who gave money and how much they've given. But for me, I'm comfortable not raising money until June, but that's just me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Virgil. Do we have any other issues to come before us at this time? Well, then I will say thank you so much. We will next come together a month from now on April the 9th. It will be our spring candidate forum for the contested races on the May 24th primary ballot. We'll be looking for some folks to present questions and to conduct timekeeping and all those things that are going to be part of a forum. Welcome volunteers and spread it in your network, please. Thank you so much.
Is that going to be by Zoom or will you guys be in person?
Candidate forum, yes.
Okay.
We had been in previous days meeting in a room of the old Lee School, which was the Willie Hinton Center on Park Street. And I have no indication the city's resuming use of that building in those classrooms.
Understood. Thank you.
So, we're continuing Zoom. We may even pull it off successfully. Anyone else have any other questions? Then I will say thank you so much and we stand adjourned. And I'm going to stop the